Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we are taking on a series that is, well, it's pretty much a modern-day classic at this point.
Oh, absolutely. And one that's recently expanded its universe in a really major way.
Exactly. We're talking about Suzanne Collins' The Hunger Games.
That's right. And you came to us wanting to understand the full picture of Panem, not just, the original trilogy.
Right.
You gave us a whole stack of sources, the expanded timeline, some really deep essays on social inequality, historical analyses.
And our mission is to cut through all of that noise.
Yeah, we want to give you a really complete, nuanced understanding of this world. It's a masterfully built critique, both politically and sociologically.
So we're going to hit three main areas that I think really show the depth of this franchise.
Okay.
First, we have to sort out the current chronology, because with the prequels, the timeline is getting deliciously messy.
It is. And second, we'll dig into the sociological engine of the whole series, the class inequality, and of course, the function of media control.
And third, we are going deep on the historical allusions, which are, frankly, surprising.
They really are. Specifically, how the nation of Panem and the games themselves are a direct and kind of chilling mirror of the ancient Roman Empire.
And it's no coincidence, as the sources point out, that Collins came back to this world after a decade.
Right. Its themes are just so urgently topical right now.
Okay, let's start with the saga itself. The original book, The Hunger Games in 2008, Catching Fire in 2009, and Mockingjay in 2010, they came out in really quick succession.
They did. And one source pointed out a kind of interesting little fact, that the original trilogy didn't have a consistent naming pattern.
Which is pretty rare for a huge franchise, you're right.
Yeah. But then we got that decade-long gap, and the world expanded, but backward in time with two big additions.
The first prequel was The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, which came out in 2020.
Right. And this one jumps way, way back.
All the way back to the games in their absolute infancy.
The 10th annual competition, yeah. And we get this deep look at a young Coriolanus Snow.
And then, hitting much closer to home for fans of the originals, we have the newest one, Sunrise on the Reaping, from 2025.
And this one is set during the 50th annual games, the second quarter quell.
It was huge. The protagonist is Hamish Abernathy.
Our Hamish, who we only know as the perpetually drunk mentor for Katniss and Peeta.
So for you, the reader, what's the best way to approach all this? You've got kind of two paths.
You do. For the true emotional impact, for the surprises, the sources all pretty much recommend publication order.
So the original trilogy first, then Ballad, then Sunrise.
Exactly. But if you want the pure linear history of Panem, you just flip it.
So you'd start with Ballad, the earliest games.
Then Sunrise for the 50th games, and then finally the original trilogy, which kicks off with the 74th games.
What's interesting is that Sunrise is actually much closer on the timeline to the original series.
Yeah, it has more overlapping characters, and it has some really clever little nods to what happened back in the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes.
So as of now, late 2025, we're back in a bit of a hiatus.
We are. No more books announced, but, we know Collins can take a decade off and come back swinging.
And on the movie front, Ballad hit screens in 2023, and the adaptation of Sunrise on the Reaping is, expected in late 2026.
That's the plan.
Okay, with that timeline set, we can finally dig into the absolute central pillar of this whole saga.
The sociological critique.
It's everything. The entire nation of Panem is built on the most extreme, enforced class inequality you can possibly imagine.
And what strikes me about that inequality is how the sources emphasize that immediate visceral contrast.
Right. You have the capital, which is just defined by its opulence, its extravagance. Katniss is amazed by just the sheer amount of food at breakfast.
She takes a shower for the first time in her life.
Yeah. And you contrast that with the chronic starvation in the districts.
Where someone like Katniss has to hunt illegally just to feed her family, the capital literally weaponizes hunger.
But how do they enforce all of this without just constant rebellion?
Well, they control not just what the districts produce, but what the people think.
Right. They control the resources. They restrict travel so no one can organize.
And the education they provide is totally biased. It's state-run. It's designed to make rebellion seem, completely futile.
Your main goal is just survival. There's no time or space left for revolution.
And this structural inequality feeds directly into the games themselves.
The games are fundamentally unfair.
Totally. Or, as the sources put it, non-meritocratic. The wealthy career tributes, usually from districts 1, 2, and 4, they have all the advantages.
They're well-fed, they're fitter, They train for this their whole lives. They're comfortable with weapons.
And then you have the poorer districts stuck in this cycle.
A cycle of poverty that directly puts them more at risk.
They're malnourished, they often pick up a weapon for the first time in the arena, and they're more likely to be picked in the first place.
Because they trade food for tesserae.
Right, which puts their name in the lottery more times. The system is literally designed to kill the poor.
And then you layer the media on top of all of that.
Oh yeah, the games are presented as pure entertainment, this huge spectacle.
The costumes, the interviews, the sponsors.
It unites the rich and poor, but in this, like, really perverse way. One source draws a direct line to modern reality shows,
Arguing that the spectacle is designed to make people forget about the real aim and end results of the games.
the tributes are fighting for their lives, but on TV, they're just actors fighting for ratings. It's the ultimate distraction.
This is where we get to that really powerful concept from sociologist Alan Johnson.
The path of least resistance.
Explain that.
Well, the concept explains how this oppressive structure forces everyone, both in the capital and the districts, to just suppress their real feelings and play along with the system.
You're pressured to conform to survive.
Exactly. And if you look at the series through that lens, the emotional core just snaps into focus.
You see it with Katniss forcing herself not to cry at the reaping so she won't look weak.
And you see it most powerfully with the strategic romance she and Peeta have to perform.
They're both disgusted by the games, obviously, but they play the part.
They cooperate and they play the romance because they know it's the path to survival. It's the path to sponsors.
Remember that impulsive kiss Katniss gives Peeta in the cave.
And what happens immediately after? A pot of broth arrives from Haymitch.
The instant reward. That confirms the strategy is working.
She chooses the path of least resistance because it gives her a material advantage. It helps her survive.
That structural pressure is incredible. But the power of the Hunger Games doesn't stop at just modern social critique.
Not at all. The sources make it really clear that the whole society of Panem is built as a direct historical illusion.
Specifically to the Roman Empire.
And what's fascinating is the sheer level of detail here. The nation of Panem is structurally so similar to, our cultural perception of late ancient Rome.
You have the rich, decadent capital with a, quote, complete stranglehold over the outlying provinces or districts.
Just like in the Roman Empire, where Roman citizens were often exempt from taxes that the provincials had to pay, life in the capital is subsidized by the district's suffering.
And the districts function exactly like Rome's provinces.
Each one known for its export. District 12 for coal, 11 for agriculture.
A source reminds us that Egypt was known as the breadbasket of the Roman Empire for its grain. It's a perfect economic mirror.
And the games themselves are, that's the most direct parallel of all.
The annual brutality of the Hunger Games just mirrors the gladiatorial fights, the animal battles, the mock sea battles they held in the Colosseum.
And in both Panem and Rome, the games serve two functions. First, public entertainment.
But more importantly,
a public demonstration of the absolute overwhelming power of the state. The capital uses the games to remind the districts who is in charge and what happens if you defy them.
The ultimate historical parallel here is Katniss's defiance.
Right, the spark that ignites the rebellion. It's likened directly to the gladiator Spartacus.
Spartacus escaped his training in Capua and started raiding the estates of the Roman elite, gathering this huge army of slaves.
And that comparison gives the rebellion in Panem a really dark precedent, because the sources don't shy away from the end of Spartacus's story.
It was a grim end.
When his army was defeated, the 6,000 survivors were crucified all along the Appian Way.
As a horrific warning to others.
That level of systemic cruelty is exactly what the capital is designed to emulate.
And if you needed any more proof of the historical depth, you just have to look at the names.
The Roman origins are everywhere in the capital names. You have Cinna, named after Julius Caesar's first father-in-law.
Octavia, named after the sister of Emperor Octavian, Caesar Augustus. Flavia, which is just Latin for golden.
And one detail I love that the sources pointed out, Katniss's doctor at the end of Mockingjay is a Dr. Aurelius.
A clear nod to the philosopher emperor Marcus Aurelius.
The critique is literally baked into the world's language.
The genius of that first book is how Katniss, even though she's forced down this path of least resistance, keeps performing these acts that fracture the system.
Let's look at the strategic moves she makes in that first game.
Her initial survival skills are just key.
Absolutely. She follows Haymitch's advice right away. Run from the cornucopia, don't go for the initial bloodbath.
And her hunting skills immediately give her an edge in finding food and water that the careers already had.
Then she forms that crucial bond with Rue from District 11.
That bond across district lines is a tiny crack in the system.
But the real genius move was when she used her arrows to cut open that bag of apples.
Setting off the mines that were protecting the career supplies.
That single act just leveled the playing field. It showed the Capitol she wasn't just a victim.
And the tide turns strategically when the Capitol, looking for better ratings, announces that rule change.
Two winners from the same district can win.
And that forces Katniss to find the very badly injured Peeta. This is where that strategic romance really gets weaponized.
Right. She knows she needs medicine, but Peeta is too stubborn to let her risk her life for it.
So she uses the sleep syrup Haymitch sent to knock him out.
So she can go to the cornucopia ambush and get the medicine for his leg. The games force her into these really ethically gray choices, but she maximizes her chances.
And the culmination of all these moments is the ultimate act of defiance, the one that sets the revolution in motion.
After the Capitol reverses the two-winner rule, forcing them to fight to the death.
She doesn't kill Peeta. Instead, she pulls out the poisonous berries they found earlier.
The ones that killed the tribute they called Foxface, and they both threatened suicide.
The Capitol just could not risk having the games end with no victor. It would be a total loss of face, a loss of control over their own spectacle.
So the announcer has to scramble, shouting for them to stop, and declares them both winners.
It was a calculated risk that completely beat the game makers at their own game.
But that victory is so bittersweet. Like we said, Haymitch warns her immediately.
The Capitol saw the berry stunt as an act of political defiance.
It's not desperate love, and she has to sell that love story convincingly to protect her family.
That pressure never lets up. And the final tragic image of that first book is Peeta realizing the romance was mostly strategy.
Even as they're holding hands for the cameras one last time, arriving back in District 12.
So we've covered the saga's expanded timeline, the unflinching critique of class, the powerful function of media distraction, and the deeply rooted historical symbolism connecting Panem to ancient Rome.
And as the sources noted, the series is masterfully written, and it's incredibly topical today. It leaves us with that final, powerful thought.
Rooted in Alan Johnson's principle of the path of least resistance.
Right.
If the entire structure of a society is designed to reward people who suppress their defiance, who suppress their true feelings, and just play along with the system.
Whether you're a starving district resident trading your life for food, or an overfed Capitol citizen who is just afraid to step out of line.
What is the true hidden cost of participating in a system you know is unjust? Are you really surviving, or are you just becoming a part of the machine you claim to hate?
That's the chilling question that lingers long after Katniss fires her last arrow.